Seats. Sergeant Arms, please secure the doors. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. President.
All right, this morning we are pleased to have the Reverend Amy Webb of River of Glass Unitarian Universalist Church from Sunrise, Florida, guest of the distinguished senator from District 17. Members, please rise for the invocation.
Source of life and light, solace and strength, keeper of the wisdom of every age, instruct our hearts and inform our discernments as we gather here in this house of laws to govern toward the good of all whose well-being in body, mind, and spirit depend on our oversight. May we act justly and approach humbly the challenges before us in this time of profound shift and change. Let us listen beyond debate and see beyond our differences, that we may hold before our eyes the vision of a world made more just, more compassionate by the work we enjoin here together today. In the name of all that is holy, compassionate, and right. Amen, Amen, Amin, Aho, Ashe, Namaste, blessed be, and so it is.
All right. Chair recognizes the senator from District 17.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. As some of you know, my two loves outside of politics and policy are Scrabble and music. I first got to know Amy Carol Webb as a singer-songwriter on the folk circuit and was honored to host her as part of my Folk and Great Music house concert series where she came and performed in Rockville. She left full-time music to become a Unitarian Universalist minister and is active in social justice, working with the bereaved and those in hospice, and standing out and speaking out on wonderful causes. Mr. President, I ask that we journalize her wonderful thoughts for today. Thank
Without
you.
objection, we will most certainly journalize the Reverend's thoughts this morning. All right, has everyone recorded their presence in the chamber? If so, the clerk will take the call. With 45 members present and a quorum being present, the Senate of Maryland is now in session. Any announcements? Announcements? Protocol Committee? Just either chair of the Protocol Committee? Do it at the end? Okay, we'll do that at the end. Couple of two important administrative announcements. One regarding schedule, and then the other one is sort of the resulting impact of the schedule. So I know this may not come with great fanfare, but want to make sure that senators are relatively prepared for next week. It is looking like our tentative plan, and please hold your calendars, for Monday and Tuesday, having two floor sessions on Monday and Tuesday. I know. Monday would be 12 to 2 and 6 to 8. Tuesday would be 11 to 1 and 6 to 8. A couple of reasons why. We have a lot of things that are kind of piling up that we have to get through, but most importantly, I think, is now that with the weather that looks like is potentially coming on Thursday, we are going to have to play Friday by ear, depending on whether or not the testing location is open. And so we are falling a bit behind, which is fine, but we have to make sure that we can get to the big stuff that we've got to get through. And so Monday and Tuesday, we can do a little bit of catching up, particularly in the case that Friday ends up being an inclement weather day. So we will confirm that later in the week, but just want to make sure that senators are starting to have it on their calendars at the moment. The second related announcement is sort of an expectation-setting announcement. As everyone is now, we've been in session for a month, so we are a third of the way through, and I think I've heard sort of the refrain often that every Friday it feels like a new sine die. Every week, it feels like there is just another heavy lift of issues or things moving forward. I would say I'd also sense, and maybe members have different perspectives on this, that there is just given the operations and the challenge of the operations, there is just a lot of exhaustion around the process. Every step of the way is harder than it normally is because of the way that we have to operate. And so I am very cautiously aware of the impact that this is having on the public, on the staff, and then most importantly on members. And so I've had conversations with our chairs about the pace to make sure that we are, pacing ourselves to make sure that our best work product is what is on the floor and not expediting things. But that has an impact. It means that there are going to be really great bills that are really excellent ideas that people have worked really, really hard on that this year, given the operations, may not see the finish line. This is particularly the case because the House, now they're back, they have a bit of a backlog to catch up on. So I just want to sort of start to set expectations now because as we start to forecast through the next 60 days, it just gets harder from here. It doesn't get easier. And so just want to make sure that everybody sort of has realistic expectations about how this year will plan out. Any other announcements, questions before we get into the business of the body? If not, so be considered the reading of the journal from the prior legislative day. We have a few more bond initiatives to come in. This is calendar number 16. The clerk will read the bond initiative.
Senator Griffith, Morningside Volunteer Fire Department and Job Training Center. Senator Lee, Gibson Grove. Senator Eckhart, Cambridge
Majority
Cemetery.
Leader moves so be considered the reading of the bond initiatives. Next order of business is a message from the House. We have some first reading House bills that have been sent over. This is number 2. Clerk will read the bills.
House Bill 1, the Speaker, Historically Black Colleges and Universities Funding. This is an emergency bill. House Bill 65, Delegate Bondati, State Board of Environmental Health Specialist Fees, General Fund.
Majority Leader moves so be considered the reading of the bills. Next is a message from the Governor. The clerk will read the message.
Dear Mr. President, pursuant to the authority conferred on me by Article 3, Section 52, Subsection 5 of the Constitution of Maryland, and in accordance with the consent of the House of Delegates duly granted, I hereby submit Supplemental Budget Number 1 to House Bill 588 and Senate Bill 491 in the form of an amendment to the budget for the fiscal year ending June 30, 2022. Supplemental Budget Number 1 affects the previously estimated funds available for budget operations as shown in the summary statement. Sincerely, Lawrence J. Hogan, Jr., Governor.
All right, the supplemental budget will be referred to the Budget and Taxation Committee. This large part of this, and Chairman of Budget and Tax, and if there's anything the Chairman wants to add, a number of these components are pieces that were incorporated within the Relief Act that was passed on Friday and then signed into law yesterday. So this is a component, but not everything. And hopefully we'll be seeing the other components for the rest of this week. All right, let's go into unfinished business. We're going to start with laid-over bills. This is calendar number 5. The clerk will read the first bill.
Senate Bill 103, Senator Kramer, Business Regulation, Retail Pet Stores Modifications, No More Puppy and Kitten Mills Act of 2021. Question is on the adoption of the amendment offered from the floor by Senator Huff.
All right, question before the body is on the amendment. Senators, this should be on the floor systems. The chair recognizes the maker of the amendment.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I'll just briefly remind the body what this amendment does. Right now, this bill says that if you are seeking to sell a puppy, the puppy would have to be born at the actual business. And my concern with that is that it's going to go and put people out of business. You know, we had a long discussion Monday in regards to putting people out of business, tax rates, things like that. It strikes me that a couple years ago when we passed the legislation dealing with puppy mills, we did in fact put most of them out of business. But there's been some people who have innovative, especially in COVID, have figured out they've matched people with dogs. So instead of having to drive to Pennsylvania, or we love to have people drive up to northern Frederick County and get their dogs at the breeders, but nonetheless, this would put those people out of business who are just simply, in my opinion, doing a good service and putting people together with dogs. I don't like passing bills to put people out of business. And just looking at the facts, in the last year, if by an actual purchaser, there hasn't been a single complaint filed. In fact, since 2012, there's only been 10 legitimate complaints in total. And I know activists and people who may not like these facilities maybe have filed complaints, but there hasn't been anybody actual purchasers, people upset. Seems to me that this is a, quote, maybe a disruptive technology, somebody they're using online. You can get together, get your dog. And if we go ahead and put these people out of business, they're just going to go on Craigslist anyways, just going to get them online anyways. So all we're doing, and it strikes me with this bill, is just putting somebody out of business. We're not really changing, we're not improving the standards at the breeders, not improving anything there. We're just putting one business model out, and I just think, I don't like passing bills to put people out of business, so I would urge the body to adopt the amendment.
Chair recognizes the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, who would have thought that a simple bill that protects consumers and animal welfare, having hit this floor 2 weeks ago, still is before us? This is the exact same bill that passed off this floor unanimously last session. Same bill. Unfortunately, it got as far as its second reading in the House, but missed the cutoff by 20 minutes on sine die last year. But before addressing the amendment that is before us, I'm going to ask you all to indulge me for one moment. We're going to climb into the Wayback Machine and set the dial for April of 2018, and we're going to land one floor above where we are right now in the governor's reception room. And what is going on in the governor's reception room? A huge celebration, which includes many of you on this floor right now, because there's a bill signing. And the room is jam-packed, not just with animal welfare advocates, but with puppies of all makes and models, young and old. And everybody is there joining in to celebrate the fact that Maryland was pushing back against the puppy mill industry by prohibiting retail pet stores, the purveyors of puppy mill product, from selling dogs and cats. Huge celebration. If you were on this floor in 2018, you voted for that bill. It passed unanimously out of this chamber. So now we understand the premise to what happened in 2018. We'll go ahead and get back in the Wayback Machine and come back to the future. Right here, right now, where we have an amendment that would completely undo the bill that was passed in 2018. If we were to adopt this amendment, the retail pet stores, which, by the way, nobody's been putting anybody out of business. In fact, most of those pet stores are thriving in the sale of all the goods and accessories and the toys that people buy for their fur babies. The only thing they are prohibited from doing is selling the puppy mill inventory. It's what they do. Adopt this amendment, and we will erase what transpired in 2018. We will erase Governor Hogan's victory laps when he signed this bill and then celebrated with all the puppies at what a wonderful occasion it was. But folks, on the way back, when we got in our Wayback Machine, I stopped in the governor's office and I picked up a photograph off his desk. Kiefer, if you're listening, I'll return that photograph maybe.
Senator, would just ask to please refrain from referencing specific
And the
staff members.
photograph, colleagues, memorialized the celebration of House Bill 1662 and all of the folks who were there in celebration of the Prohibition. And you know who's in the front row? Dead, front, center, celebrating with family members is the maker of the amendment that is before this committee right now.
Senator, let's stick to the merits of the amendment, please.
My point, Mr. President, is that we were celebrating passage of a bill that will be completely undone with the adoption of this amendment. And I will ask my colleagues on the floor to please resist doing so. Let's keep Maryland moving forward on this issue. And with that, thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator. All right. Before we go, any senators who have not yet spoken wish to speak on the amendment? Seeing none, Chair recognizes the sponsor of the amendment.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. So my trip in the Wayback Machine, the picture he's referencing, there was two bill signings at once. And it was actually the Beagle bill that was being signed, which was my legislation. And the one thing I'll say about when you're doing these animal bills, I proudly sponsor that in the Senate, is it takes compromise. It takes working together, not just ramming through exactly what we want. And that bill, I was proud to stand there with the Beagle bill, and they had this bill was up there at the same time, did all the dog bills together. That's why I was standing there. But this amendment does not address the current law. The amendment is to the bolded language, the new language that seeks to completely and 100% eviscerate one business model in Maryland. So for that reason, that's why I offer my amendment.
All right. Questions on the amendment? Questions on the amendment? All in favor of the amendment? Senators requested a roll call. Question is on the adoption of the amendment. Chair recognizes the floor leader.
Yes, Mr. President, I too would ask for a roll call vote so we memorialize those who wish to roll back
Senator.
Maryland's efforts on animal welfare
All right, let's go ahead
protections.
and thank you, Senator. Let's call the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 33 votes in the negative, the amendment fails. Are there any further amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 103 is hereby ordered, printed for third reader. Clerk will read the next bill. Oh, excuse me, we have we're going to go to Committee on Finance. We have a report from Finance. This is from Unfinished Business. This is report number 7. The clerk will read the first bill.
Senate Bill 83, Senator Kramer, Utility Regulation, Consideration of Climate and Labor, favorable with 2 amendments.
Chair recognizes the senator from Montgomery County as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. This bill, Senate Bill 83, requires the power plant research program to include an evaluation of the impact of electric power plants on climate change as part of its ongoing research. Separately, the Public Service Commission must consider the maintenance of fair and stable labor practices for affected workers, as well as climate effects and greenhouse gas emissions in supervising and regulating public service companies. Amendment number 1 is technical. Amendment 2 strikes from the bill provisions that would have required gas and electric companies to report certain project wage and benefit information to the PSC. I move the amendments and the adoption of the favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves for the adoption of the 2 committee amendments and the favorable committee report. Chair recognizes the senator from Anne Arundel. Senator, what purpose does Senator rise?
A question for the floor leader, please.
Will the floor leader yield for a question? Senator may proceed.
Thank you. Senator, where are you? Oh, there you are. So it appears that without the reporting of specific wage and benefit information, we're down to two primary bureaucratic offices involved with this bill. The first is the Power Plant Research Program, and the second is the Public Service Commission. Is that correct?
Yes, it's primarily responsibilities for the Public Service Commission to review certain documentation and information.
Senator, aren't these things being done today without this bill?
No, as a matter of fact, they are not done, and part of the inspiration to this legislation is that the Public Service Commission opined in a rate case 2 years ago that while they would have been willing to look at doing these things, they did not feel it was part of their charge under state law to do so. So the legislation before the chamber now will, in fact, give them that charge and the opportunity to start to address really the climate crisis as part of what it is that they're doing.
Very good. On the fiscal note, it says the revenue is going to be $219,000 a year for the first year. Do you know how many projects that this revenue is designed to cover? The fiscal note didn't mention specific utilities nor the number of projects that might be covered by this. Was there any testimony to that effect?
Not that I am aware of, and the fiscal note represents the Public Service Commission's indication that they believe they would need additional staffing to address it.
Well, that covers the expenses. I'm on the revenue side. And a second question about the revenue, if I may. Are these charges allowed to be put into the base rate where it will adversely affect people's utility bills?
It's possible that they can be considered, yes, by the Public Service Commission in a rate case.
Yeah. Senator, thank you very much. Mr. President, move that the bill and the amendments lay over under the rules.
Senator's motion is in order. The bill and the amendments will be laid over under the rule. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 95, Senator Kramer, Public Utilities, Investor-Owned Utilities, Prevailing Wage, favorable.
Chair recognizes Senator from Montgomery County as the floor leader.
Well, thank you again, Mr. President. Colleagues, Senate Bill 95 requires investor-owned gas and/or electric utilities to require contractors and subcontractors on underground projects to pay their employees at least the applicable prevailing wage rate. The projects involve the construction, reconstruction, installation, demolition, restoration, or alteration of any underground gas or electric infrastructure of the company. There are no amendments. I move the adoption of the favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves for the adoption of the favorable committee report. Chair recognizes the senator from 34th District. What purposes does the senator rise?
Yeah, Mr. President, I just asked that the special order this bill for later date for consideration, please.
Senator has moved to special order the bill. Chair recognizes the floor leader.
Why, but of course, Mr. President.
No objections to the special order?
Thank you.
Without objection, so ordered. The bill will be special ordered at the appropriate time tomorrow. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 149, Senator Kelly, Insurance, Application of Premium Tax, Continued Exclusion of Maryland Automobile Insurance Fund, favorable with 2 amendments.
The chair will recognize the floor leader in just a second. A quick note, the supplemental budget, senators, we've gotten some requests to see it. Normally we would hand this out, of course, in the new operations. If senators go into their floor systems and click the menu button and then click operating for the operating budget, it should pop right up. So it's on the floor systems, menu, operating. Chair recognizes the Chair of Finance as the floor leader on Senate Bill 149.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate Bill 149 makes permanent an exemption from the 2% insurance premium tax for the Maryland Automobile Insurance Fund, MAIF. Legislation enacted in 2017 exempted MAIF from the tax is subject to a June 30, 2022 sunset provision. This bill removes that sunset. The premium tax exemption will help MAIF maintain a surplus and avoid a statewide assessment on Maryland drivers that would have triggered if MAFE surplus falls below a certain threshold. Amendment 1 makes changes to the title of the bill. Amendment 2 is technical and expressly includes MAFE under a code provision that lists entities that are not subject to the premium tax. There was no opposition at the committee hearing. I move the amendments and the adoption of the favorable committee report.
Floor Leader moves for the adoption of the 2 committee amendments and the favorable committee report. Question first is on the 2 amendments. Any discussion? If not, all in favor of the amendment say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The 2 committee amendments are adopted. Question now is on the favorable committee report as amended. Any discussion? If not, all in favor of the report say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The favorable committee report as amended is adopted. Are there any amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 149 is hereby ordered printed for third reader. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 184, Senator McCray, Maryland Transit Administration, Reduced Fare Program for Opioid Treatment Program Patients. Program requirements favorable with 1 amendment.
Chair recognizes Senator from Anne Arundel as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate Bill 184 excludes an opioid treatment program from participating in the Maryland Transit Administration for Disabled Reduced Fare Program for Opioid Treatment Program patients if the opioid treatment program has been subject to certain adverse enforcement actions by the Maryland Department of Health within the last 10 years. This is the program established through legislation last year that allows opioid treatment programs to issue the MTA reduced fare passes for qualifying patients. The amendment limits the adverse actions that disqualify a treatment program from participating in the MTO program to a license suspension or revocation, approval of a settlement agreement establishing specific conditions for continued treatment program operation, and an approved petition for receivership. There is no fiscal impact. There is no opposition at the committee hearing to the bill as amended. I move the amendments and the adoption of the favorable committee report.
Floor Leader moves for the adoption of the 1 committee amendment and the favorable committee report. Question first is on the amendment. Any discussion? If not, all in favor of the amendment say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The 1 committee amendment is adopted. Question now is on the adoption of the favorable committee report as amended. Any discussion? If not, all in favor of the report say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The favorable committee report as amended is adopted. Are there any amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 184 is hereby ordered printed for third reader. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 307, Senator Guzzoni, Labor and Employment Direct Care Workforce Innovation Program, favorable.
Chair recognizes the chair of the committee as the floor leader.
Thank you. Senate Bill 307 establishes a direct care workforce innovation program in the Department of Labor's Division of Workforce Development and Adult Learning. The purpose of the program is to provide matching grants to various entities to create and expand recruitment and retention strategies that address the range of barriers to increasing the number of direct care workers. The goal is to ensure the availability of trained direct care workers across the state. The bill includes a process to award grants, including criteria for evaluating applications and the entity applying to receive a grant. Grant amounts to any one entity are limited to no more than $50,000. A grant is valid for no more than 3 years, and a $250,000 appropriation is required. The same bill passed the Senate last session. There are no amendments, no opposition at the committee hearing. I move the adoption of the favorable committee report.
Floor Leader moves to the adoption of the favorable committee report. Any discussion? If not, all in favor of the report say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The favorable committee report is adopted. Are there any amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 307 is hereby ordered printed for third reader. All right, looks like we have another unfinished calendar from the Committee on Education, Health, and Environmental Affairs. This is report number 7. Clerk will read the first bill.
Senate Bill 6, Senator Lamb, General Assembly, special election to fill a vacancy in office, favorable.
Chair recognizes the sponsor of the bill as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate Bill 6 is identical to a bill that passed the Senate floor last year, was a casualty of the pandemic over on the House side. The bill, as you may recall, proposes a constitutional amendment that would allow for the filling of a vacancy in the office of the state senate or a state delegate. It requires the governor to immediately upon the vacancy of the office, if the vacancy occurs before a specified date, that's 55 days before the filing, declare that a special primary and general elections to fill the vacancy. The special primary and general elections must take place during the regular statewide primary and general elections that occur in the second year of a term. And the governor must appoint an eligible individual to fill the vacancy until the successor is elected. The proposed constitutional amendment exempts the special election to fill a vacancy in a specified office from the quadrennial schedule for the election of Senate and county officers. In sum, it allows any of these positions in the legislature to be filled in the next presidential election if the vacancy occurs in the first 2 years of a senator or delegate's term. There are no committee amendments, no fiscal impact. Move the adoption of the favorable committee report.
Floor Leader moves for the adoption of the favorable committee report. Any discussion? If not, all in favor of the report say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The favorable committee report is adopted. Are there any amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 6 is hereby ordered printed for third reader. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 175, Senator Ellis, Procurement, Performance, and Payment Security, Requirements and Limitations, favorable.
Chair recognizes the Senator from Charles County as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, Senate Bill 175 specifies that the state or other public bodies in the state may not require a contractor to provide payment or performance security on specified contracts until the time of contract ratification. It further specifies that the Board of Public Works may not require a prospective contractor on an energy performance contract to provide a guarantee of projected energy savings before the contract is ratified. There are no committee amendments. There is no fiscal impact on this bill. Therefore, Mr. President, I move for the adoption of the favorable committee report.
Floor Leader moves for the adoption of the favorable committee report. Any discussion? If not, all in favor of the report say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The favorable committee report is adopted. Are there any amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 175 is hereby ordered printed for third reader. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 244, Senator Lamb, Maryland Funding Accountability and Transparency Act, non-budgeted state agencies, favorable.
Chair recognizes Senator from Howard and Baltimore counties as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate Bill 244 alters the Maryland Funding Accountability and Transparency Act to require the Department of Information Technology, or DOIT, to update payment data on the existing searchable website on a monthly basis rather than annually. The bill also requires non-budgeted state agencies to submit their payment data for inclusion in the website. Currently, they're not. There are no committee amendments. Move the adoption of the favorable committee report.
Floor Leader moves for the adoption of the favorable committee report. Any discussion? If not, all in favor of the report say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The favorable committee report is adopted. Are there any amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 244 is hereby ordered printed for third reader. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 296, Senator Simonero, Election Law, Campaign Finance, Protection of Contributor Information, favorable with 2 amendments.
Chair recognizes Senator from Anne Arundel as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. This bill prohibits a person from, 1, using any contribution information from any report or statement required under Title 13 Campaign Finance of the Election Law article for commercial solicitation for purposes. Also publishes any contribution information from report or statement required under Title 13 in newspapers, magazines, books, or other similar media for the purpose of facilitating commercial solicitation. There are 2 amendments. The first is technical. The second adds websites to the list of media of which a person is prohibited from publishing information for the purpose of commercial solicitation. There was no opposition. This passed unanimously last year, and I move the amendment in the favorable committee report.
Floor Leader moves for the adoption of the 2 committee amendments in the favorable committee report. Question first is on the 2 committee amendments. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of the amendment say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The 2 committee amendments are adopted. Question now is on the favorable committee report as amended. Any discussion? If not, all in favor of the report say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The favorable committee report as amended is adopted. Are there any further amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 296 is hereby ordered printed for third reader. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 326, Senator Hayes, Baltimore City College, Community College Procurement Authority, favorable.
Chair recognizes the senator from Baltimore City as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. SB 326 brings Baltimore City Community College Procurement Authority in line with the University of Maryland system, Morgan State University, and St. Mary's College. These universities require Board of Public Works review when the value of the contract exceeds $1 million. Under current law, that review is triggered for Baltimore City Community College at $50,000. This bill brings it up to $300,000. And however, all other provisions of the procurement law will still apply to Baltimore City Community College. There are no committee amendments. It was voted favorably, and so I move for the adoption of the favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves for the adoption of the favorable committee report. Questions on the report? Any discussion? If not, all in favor of the report say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The favorable committee report is adopted. Are there any amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 326 is hereby ordered printed for third reader. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 353, Chair, Education, Health, and Environmental Affairs Committee, Veterans Benefits and Benefits Appeal Services, Disclosure Requirements, favorable.
Chair recognizes the senator from Charles County as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, Senate Bill 353, which is a departmental bill from the Maryland Department of Veterans Affairs, requires a person who charges a fee for veterans benefits services or for veterans benefits appeals services to provide a written disclosure stating that such services are offered at no cost by the Maryland Department of Veterans Affairs and other veteran service organizations. Those veteran service organizations includes American Legion, Disabled American Veterans, Veterans of Foreign Wars. And those organizations are accredited by the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs to offer those services. In addition, a person who charges a fee for veterans benefits appeal services must include a notice within the advertisement stating that the services are also offered at no cost by the Maryland Department of Veterans Affairs and specified veteran service organizations, as I mentioned before, such as American Legion, Disabled American Veterans, etc. A violator is subject to a civil penalty of up to $1,000 for each violation. Civil penalties must be in an amount ordered by the district court in an action brought by the Attorney General. Any penalty collected must be deposited in the Maryland Veterans Trust Fund. There was no opposition to this bill, no fiscal impact. There are no committee amendments. Therefore, Mr. President, I move for adoption of the favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves for the adoption of the favorable committee report. Any discussion? If not, all in favor of the report say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The favorable committee report is adopted. Are there any amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 353 is hereby ordered printed for third reader. All right, Senators, we have one more second reader before we get to the special order calendar. This is a report of the Committee on Budget and Taxation, report number 4. Clerk will read the first bill.
Senate Bill 218, Senator King, Maryland Child Tax Credit, favorable with 3 amendments.
Chair recognizes the Vice Chair of the committee as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. This bill is to provide some aid to some of our low-income children in the state. To reduce the fiscal note, we limited it to disabled children. And we also added a provision to expand the earned income tax credit, again for children, to all taxpayers. Amendment number 1 is technical. Amendment number 2 expands the eligibility to all taxpayers. And amendment number 3 limits the application to tax years 2020, 2021, and 2022. Move the adoption of the committee report.
Floor leader moves for the adoption of 3 committee amendments in the favorable committee report. Questions on the amendments? Chair recognizes the minority leader. What purpose does Senator rise?
The floor leader would yield for some questions.
Sure. Senator may proceed.
Thank you. Now, who is this? I'm talking about the amendments. Who is this amendment targeted to capture in the intent of the B&T?
Well, the amendment is to reduce the fiscal note by restricting the one for disabled folks, restricting the one for children directly to disabled children. And the Earned Income Tax Credit is designed to make sure that all taxpayers have access to the Earned Income Tax Credit.
Okay, was there any specific target in this, or is it just a generic, we want to catch everybody?
Well, there are only two ways you can file a tax return in the United States and in Maryland. Either with a Social Security number or what's called an ITIN. It's an individual taxpayer identification number. And our previous law limited it to only those with Social Security numbers.
Okay, without this amendment, would this, previously to the amendment, would this also include undocumented immigrants prior to this amendment?
It would include anybody who files their taxes with an IATIN.
With this amendment?
With the amendment, because we're talking here about taxpayers.
Right.
And this is a tax cut bill. I would hope that folks on your side of the aisle would embrace another tax cut bill. And so this just says we want to make sure that all taxpayers who would qualify because they're low income and they have kids would have the benefit of the Earned Income Tax Credit.
Okay, you mentioned a tax, we're doing a tax cut or tax credit, and we certainly support that.
Thank you.
How much taxes are going to be gained by the state by this group of people you're putting in this bill? All of them, not just the amendment. Just how many taxes are collected for the group that we are targeting in this bill?
The shorter answer is I don't know exactly, but I asked the same question, and it's in the hundreds of millions of dollars.
And what's the limit for their adjusted gross income?
For a family of 3 or larger, it's about $55,000.
I thought the bill said $6,000.
No, it's $6,000 for the child tax credit. It's with 3 kids, it's $55,000 for the Earned Income Tax Credit. They're 2 different tax credits.
Okay, so for the child, it's $6,000?
For what's called the child tax credit, which was the original bill, without the amendments.
And do you know how much taxes somebody would pay at the federal level and the state on a $6,000 maximum?
I don't actually.
Okay, I checked with Comptroller, they don't pay anything. So they may be filling...
Very low income.
Yeah, very minimal. So they're not actually paying any taxes. And so this bill, would they not get anything, or is the state going to actually...
It's refundable, like so many of our tax credits are refundable.
Okay, so what we're saying is... I just have some questions to this.
Sure. No, this is great.
So taxpayers in this group are not paying any taxes, but the rest of the taxpayers in Maryland who are paying taxes will refund them up to $500 or how much it is. Am I understanding that correctly?
For 40 years, I don't want to overstate this, for decades, the federal government, and now I guess for the last several decades, Maryland has had refundable tax credits that say if in a particular year your income doesn't generate enough tax liability to get the value of the tax credit, you will get a tax refund.
Right, but I think what we're doing in this bill is expanding those tax credits to people who don't pay any taxes to undocumented immigrants. I think that is the crux of the amendment, that we heard that, they're paying taxes, we should give them money back. But in fact, if I understand the bill correctly, if it's only $6,000, talking with the comptroller, they said they pay 0 taxes. So we can talk more about that, but let me just...
I take your point. I take your point on the math, on the child tax credit, not on the Earned Income Tax Credit.
Right. And then, I don't know if you know this answer, you can get back to me later. Can someone fill out a Maryland tax return without filling out a federal tax return?
If you ask the Controller's Office and you have an answer,
I don't know the answer.
I can't imagine you can't. I can't imagine the Controller's Office would turn away somebody from paying their taxes. But
does the Senator want to yield to the Senator from Montgomery County for a minute on this question?
Sure,
I can answer that.
Yeah, I'll yield to the Senator.
Yeah, so in order to complete your state return, you need to have a federal return completed.
Okay.
At least that's how you utilize the free service that the Comptroller's Office provides.
Okay, great.
Thank you very much, Senator.
Just a couple more and then I'll be done.
Yeah.
I have 7 kids. I know what it's like to have kids. And I remember I had my first 3 were all in diapers at once, and I made this statement, I can't wait till they get out of diapers so I can save some money. Completely
answer.
wrong. As they get older, they get more expensive. So my question is, why are we limiting it to 0 to 6 when that's the most inexpensive time, and we're not letting them when the children are actually more expensive and it would help people have a greater burden on their families?
No, you're talking about the child tax credit?
Yeah.
It's up to age 17.
That one's up to, what's the one that's up to 6 years?
Nothing. It's cut from the bill. It's not in the bill.
That's taken out?
That's taken out, yeah.
Okay, it's a little hard to see it. And then, is this because of the pandemic, or is this generally, we just thought it was good tax policy?
I can't speak for all the members of the committee. I'll speak for myself, and I think the view of the committee is there are a lot of people suffering right now, and there are a lot of low-income people suffering. And we passed legislation last week to help a lot of people, and it was a great project, and the governor and we all worked together on it, but I think we're going to do a lot of things this session to help people, and this is one of the ones that we think is important.
Okay. And the last question, when does this terminate? Does this have a termination date? Is this after, right after the pandemic?
The tax years 20, 21, and 22.
Okay, this doesn't go out to 25 at
Nope.
all? Okay. All right, I have a lot more that I want to dive in here, so if I could lay the bill over under the rules, I'd appreciate it.
The senator's motion is in order. The bill and the amendment will lay over under the rule to the appropriate time tomorrow. All right, we have some special order calendars. We've got, the first one is, this was unfinished business, special order calendar number 9. Number 9. Clerk will read the first bill.
Senate Bill 41, Senator Augustine, Health, Mental and Emotional Disorders, Consent, Mental Health Access Initiative.
All right, Senators, the question before the body is the adoption of the favorable report. Any discussion? Yes, Chair recognizes the senator from the 38th District.
Thank you, Mr. President. You had mentioned earlier in your remarks about the workload, the double sessions on Friday with the vetoes and then the committee work afterwards. And I'm asking for a special order because I've not had time to go into my questions. I've had several parents contact me about this bill, and I'd like to look into those questions if I could.
All right, Senator, the chair recognizes the floor leader. Senator.
Thank you, Mr. President. This body has had the opportunity. We've been sitting on this for over a week. I want to say close to 2 weeks now. If there's been, I think it's been sufficient time. I would ask that we move on this bill, please.
Senator, question is the motion is to special order the bill. Senator, we sure we don't want to do one day? I think we have time tomorrow. Does you want to, Senator?
Sure.
We'll do one day. The bill will move tomorrow. I think we can give one day. It was a busy week. So, all right. If there are no other objections to the special order, the bill will be special ordered at the appropriate time tomorrow. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 278, Senator Kagan, State Department of Education and Maryland Department of Health, Maryland School-Based Health Center Standards, Telehealth. This is an emergency bill.
Chair recognizes the Vice Chair of the committee as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Because this bill also came to the floor eons ago, I'm just going to quickly refresh your memory that this is an emergency bill to allow students who rely on school-based health centers around the state, 86 different centers, to make sure that they can get access to health care in the same way that we did unanimously for their parents last year. This allows the health care centers to continue to provide behavioral care, primary care, and dental care. That's it. With that, I move the favorable report, Mr. President.
Floor leader moves for the adoption of the favorable committee report. Any discussion? If not, all in favor of the report say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The favorable committee report is adopted. Are there any amendments to the bill or its title? Chair recognizes the senator from Anne Arundel with an amendment.
Yes.
Senator has an amendment. Senator, could the senator please read the number of the amendment?
It is SB 0278/523820/1.
All right. We'll give us just one moment, Senator. Make sure that we can scan it in. The secretary, do we have a copy? All right. This is
Mr. President.
820. Yes. Everyone have it on the computers?
I'm going to need a little more time to look at this amendment, so if I could lay it over under the rules.
Has the bill been laid over already? If not, the senator's motion is in order. The bill and the amendment will lay over under the rules. All right, senators, we're going to take these bills up, just so we all know. These bills are coming. So, next up, we've got Special Order Number 12. The clerk will read the first bill.
Senate Bill 316, Senator Klossmeyer, Renewable Energy Portfolio Standard Electro-hydraulic Power.
Chair recognizes Senator from District 8. Sponsor of the bill.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to special order this bill until tomorrow.
Until tomorrow. The senator is asked to move to special order the bill. Any objections? Without objections, so ordered. Bill will be special ordered to the appropriate time tomorrow. All right, we've got a third reading calendar. Let's do a quorum call before third reader.
Mr. President.
Has everyone recorded their presence? If so, the clerk will take the call. With 45 members in the chamber and a quorum being present, the Senate of Maryland remains in session. This is third reading calendar number 8. Clerk will read the first bill.
Senate Bill 19, Chair Budget and Taxation Committee, Economic Development, Biotechnology Investment, Incentive Tax Credit Program alterations.
Senate Bill 19 is on third reader for final passage. Any discussion? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 46 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 19, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 48, Senator Young, Income Tax Subtraction Modification, Living Organ Donors.
Senate Bill 48 is on third reader for final passage. Any discussion? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 46 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 48, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 79, Senator Kramer, Electricity Change of Address, Maintenance of Subscriptions and Contracts.
All right, Senate Bill 79 is on third reader for final passage. Any discussion? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 46 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 79, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 146, Chair Budget and Taxation Committee, Department of Juvenile Services, Deputy Secretaries.
Senate Bill, Madam Clerk.
Oh, I'm sorry. Senate Bill 100.
100.
Senator Kelly, Task Force on Oral Health in Maryland.
Senate Bill 100 is on third reader for final passage. Any discussion? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 45 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 100, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 146, Chair Budget and Taxation Committee, Department of Juvenile Services, Deputy Secretaries.
Senate Bill 146 is on third reader for final passage. Any discussion? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 46 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 146, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 160, Chair Budget and Taxation Committee, Economic Development, Cybersecurity Investment, Incentive Tax Credit Program Expansion and Extension.
Senate Bill 160 is on third reader for final passage. Any discussion? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 46 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 160, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 180, Senator Simonero, Funeral Establishments and Crematories, Unclaimed Remains of Veterans, Notification, Disposition, and Reporting.
Senate Bill 180 is on third reader for final passage. Any discussion? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 46 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 180, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 251, Chair Finance Committee, Commissioner of Financial Regulation, licensing of non-depository institution, elimination of...
Yep, Madam Clerk, I think we're on 220.
Okay. Yeah, that's the second one. Yep. Senate Bill 220, Senator Heddleman, Criminal Law, Hate Crimes, Protected Groups, and Penalties.
Senate Bill 220 is on third reader for final passage. Any discussion? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote? Explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 45 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 220, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 251, Chair Finance Committee, Commissioner of Financial Regulation, licensing of non-depository institutions, and elimination of paper license requirements.
Senate Bill 251 is on third reader for final passage. Any discussion? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote? Explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 46 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 251, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next... Oh, we have another calendar. We're on to number 9. Clerk will read the first bill.
Senate Bill 257, Senator Gazzoni, Sales and Use Tax, Vendor Collection Credit, Job Training.
Senate Bill 257 is on third reader for final passage. Any discussion? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote? Explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 46 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 257, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 294, Senator Gallion, Cecil County Sales and Use Tax Exemption, Federal Facilities Redevelopment Areas.
Senate Bill 294 is on third reader for final passage. Any discussion? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote? Explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 46 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 294, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 319, Senator Hester, Clean Energy Loan Program, Remediation and Resiliency.
Senate Bill 319 is on third reader for final passage. Any discussion? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote? Explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. 46 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 319, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 325, Chair Budget and Taxation Committee, Tax Sales, Redemption, Non-Delinquent Taxes.
Senate Bill 325 is on third reader for final passage. Any discussion? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote? Explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 46 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 325, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 366, Senator McCray, Department of Assessments and Taxation Identification Number for Business Task Force.
Senate Bill 366 is on third reader for final passage. Any discussion? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote? Explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 46 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 366, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 480, Senator Zucker, Income Tax Distribution Tax Clinic for Low-Income Marylanders.
Senate Bill 480 is on third reader for final passage. Any discussion? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote? Explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 46 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 480, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 510, Senator Simoneri, Sales and Use Tax, Tax-Free Period for Back-to-School Shopping, Sale of Sewing Items.
Senate Bill 510 is on third reader for final passage. Any discussion? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote? Explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 46 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 510, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 534, Senator Gazzoni, Income Tax Credit, Wineries and Vineyards, Sunset Extension.
Senate Bill 534 is on third reader for final passage. Any discussion? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 46 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 534, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 539, Senator Gazzoni, Income Tax Credit Food Donation Pilot Program Extension.
Senate Bill 539 is on third reader for final passage. Any discussion? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President?
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 46 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 539, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. All right, Senators, the desk is clear. The desk is clear. We are going to take up the bills that did not happen tomorrow. We got to get some stuff. We got to make sure we're not going to keep delaying. We're going to debate it on the merits and vote it one way or the other. So tomorrow is decision day. Let's go to committee announcements. Chair recognizes the Chair of Finance.
Thank you, Mr. President. We will meet for bill hearings at 1:45, and about 30 minutes after the end of the bill hearings, we will be voting.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Chair recognizes the Chair of Education, Health, and Environmental Affairs.
Thank you, Mr. President. Before I announce the meeting time, let me give the body a quick update. It is now 1 year, 1 month, and 16 days since the report should have been presented to us from the Maryland Department of the Environment to set a pathway for reducing greenhouse gas. Again, it's over 13 months and 15 days, or 16 days that it is late. That's one of the reasons the committee is taking up the Climate Solutions Now Act. Our committee will meet at 1:45 for bill hearings, and I believe there's a subcommittee meeting set for afterwards. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chair recognizes the Chairman of Budget and Taxation.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Budget and Tax Subcommittee Capital Budget will meet at 3.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chair recognizes the Chair of Judicial Proceedings.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Judicial Proceedings Committee will meet today at 1:45 for 8 bill hearings. We'll follow that with a work session. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Other announcements? Any other announcements? Delegations, special select committees? Seeing none. Anything from protocol today? Yes, Chair recognizes the co-chair of the Protocol Committee.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. It's the beginning of the week, so we want to recognize that our pages are out there. And last week we got so busy we weren't able to recognize them, so we wanted to make sure you knew who they are, particularly if you have any students from your district. So you have on your desk, I believe everybody has a list of our student pages for this week, so you can look for them or contact them in between the time from Tuesday, Monday, or Tuesday till Friday when we officially recognize their service on Friday. So thank you very much for being engaged with them, and we appreciate those wonderful students who are out there following with us, not in person, but they are making contact virtually. Thank you all so much for working with them. They really appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you so much. Chair recognizes the other co-chair of the Protocol Committee.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a quick reminder that if you haven't given your protocol dues to either me or my co-chair, please do so this week if possible. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, and thank you to the pages who are watching this week. We are excited to have you virtually. I hope you are enjoying the experience. We got a big week this week. Any other announcements for the good of the order? If not, clerk will call the roll for a quorum call.
Mr. President?
Has everyone recorded their presence? If so, the clerk will take the call. With 46 members in the chamber and a quorum being present, the Senate of Maryland remains in session. Chair recognizes the Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate of Maryland stand adjourned until Wednesday, February 17th at 10 a.m.
Without objection, so ordered. Stay safe, wear your mask, get the vaccine when eligible.